traveling yesterday. Yesterday was a travel day, and had my son in the car with me. And last night, and for about 4 hours, we had a pretty lengthy conversation where he made some pretty profound statements about the future, about Texas. And, he's in Texas history class, and he's learning about the things that we talk about on a regular basis. And, given that he pays attention to current events, he understands what's going on. He can't really help it because that's all that goes on around here. But he's beginning to put the pieces together for himself. One of the things that we have always done is we have taught our kids to be independent and to be independent thinkers. And so he started putting the pieces together, and really it's making sense to him. It's making sense to him. Well, Andrew, let's start with this, because I want you to try to communicate it to these folks like you did to me. But you're in Texas history right now in school.
Yes, sir.
And, what is it in particular y'all are learning about right now?
Well, we just got done learning about the Battle of San Jacinto and the Texas independence. Yeah,
so the Declaration of Independence and all that. Now, so the unit you're on right now is the Texas Revolution, right?
Yes, sir.
So, we were talking about Santa Anna, and, one of the things that you said that you learned about was that Santa Anna had toppled the Constitution, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Bustamante was a dictator, as most people might know, but some people probably don't. Everyone was going with Santa Anna because he wanted the Constitution of 1824. When he overthrew Bustamante, he later, during his when he was the president, he did away with the Constitution of 1824. And that angered most Texans.
Yeah, he threw the Constitution away.
Well, right now we're probably, from the past, we'd be at the Alamo.
Yeah,
or the Battle of Goliad.
Yeah, we're at our point in this stage in history. We're facing our Alamo. We've got the federal government that's coming against us, like Santa Anna came against the Texans, and we are left defending ourselves. As a 13-year-old, you're putting these pieces together yourself. You're beginning to take the information, to take the data, and you're beginning to bring it together to say, oh, I get it. What Washington, D.C. is doing is no different than what took place from Mexico City. If you could put this together, don't you think others should be able to put it together as well?
Of course.
But I want you to share with people just really quickly what it is that you like about what the Texans were doing. What was it about their attitude?
Well, they wanted to stand up. They didn't want to. It would be like if we sit around and did nothing and just watched it. We'd be like the Tejanos in San Antonio when General Acosta was there, just sitting there getting all of our stuff taken away. Instead, these people, which is what we're trying to do right now, stood up for themselves, defended themselves, said, this is enough. It's time to end this.
There you go. That is the message right there. My 13-year-old son gets it, that the Texas attitude says, you're coming in, you're destroying the Constitution, you're taking our rights, and we're not going to put up with it. He's 13 years old, people, and he gets it. He gets it. I'm happy. My son gets it. So at least I know, and I've known this, all of our kids are like this, but, they're getting saturated in it, but it was this spark. It was like, boom, he got it. Andrew's laying down the gospel for you. As a 13-year-old in Texas history, he's got this figured out. He understands that we are fighting for our freedom, that we are standing up for our freedom. We're standing up for our rights. He gets it. He understands that there's no difference between what Santa Anna did and what's going on in Washington, D.C. He gets it. He put it together himself. I didn't have to tell him. He's telling me this. I mean, this is the real deal. And so I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Well, as we were having this conversation on the way, he began to explain and kind of elaborate on what he felt was going on with the federal government. and how he felt that it was like Santa Ana and the Mexican government, things of that nature. And you tell them. I mean, you're worried about your future. You tell them.
Well, we all know that they owe $14 trillion total. It's not a very good amount. Soon they're probably going to start taking money from the banks to use it. We used to be a pretty good nation, and then they start to collapse. I mean, if this keeps on going, the future, well, let's just say there probably won't be a future.
Now,
by the way these things are going.
Now I'm going to tell you right now, if that doesn't fire you up and break your heart, then you have no soul. You have a 13-year-old who is he's on the downhill slide of the child years. He is 5 years away from being classified as an adult. In 5 years, he will be 18. And he is on here telling you right now that if things don't change, if Texans don't stand up, then he's not going to have a future. For those of you who want to know why I get on here and get passionate, when your child looks at you and says, when they get it, when they get the facts and everything else, and say, you know what, I'm worried that I'm not going to have a future because things are so bad. That ought to shake you down to your bones. It ought to chop you right down to the core, and it ought to fire you up. Because I'm telling you, if your own child cannot motivate you to go out and do the difficult things, then you're worse than an infidel. The Muslims may call you an infidel, or whoever may call you an infidel for whatever you believe, but I'm telling you that the Bible says that a man who will not provide for his family is worse than an infidel. And that's not just food and groceries. That's freedom and a future and a legacy. If you don't provide it, then you are worse than an infidel. Andrew.
Yes, sir.
I'm amazed. You put this together yourself. I'm amazed. I really am. And I think I'm going to tell you. I'm going to make an assessment. You tell me if I'm right or wrong here. Is the fact that you're taking Texas history, did that really kind of help you make these connections about the federal government and Santa Ana and all that kind of stuff?
Well, because I put it together because Texans are fighting for their independence back then, and what we're trying to do is trying to fight for our independence.
Same reason.
They kind of relate.
Yeah, same reasons, right?
Yes, sir.
It's the same things. He gets it. He's 13. So I encouraged you to get your children and gather them around. And hopefully you did that. Maybe you didn't, but for those of you who did, I want you to take his words, and I want you to look at your child, and I want you to tell them if they're worth it or not. Are they worth sacrifice for freedom? Are they worth it? And if they're not, I want you to look them in the eye and tell them straight up and honest, go, look, you're just not worth it. I don't think you can do it. I could never do it. And the fact that Andrew, at 13 years old, is afraid for the future and afraid that he's not going to have one, the fact that he's afraid should motivate every one of us and should let you know that your child and your children are probably concerned about the same things if you'll sit down and have that conversation with them.
And I just want to say, if a 13-year-old can get it, then you can get it. I'm only 13. Y'all are like in their 20s, 30s, maybe even 40s. And if someone younger than you, who is 13-year-old, can get it, your generation got us into it, and y'all need to try to get us back out of it.
Ooh, ouch. Oh, ouch. Wow. He just laid it down for everybody. He said that our generation wrote a check that he's going to have to cash. And he said he just challenged us. And I'm going to I got to wrap up this segment, and I don't know that there's any other better way to wrap up this segment. Because he just threw the gauntlet down to us, to all of you out there listening. A message from the future, a message from his generation saying, save our future by saving Texas.